This week we are joined by Gina Jenkinson AKA Kelli Taylor. Not sure what she wants to go by. Her real name's Gina. She does a character, very funny character, so I'm told. I haven't actually seen her. I explained that at the very start of my conversation. Kelli, Kelli Taylor. Talk about a lot of things here. I met her at a gig last weekend. She's a lot. I think she'd be at the first to admit. There's a lot of Kelli. You get a lot in a good way. You know, I think I referenced Clockwork Orange in the conversation, but you know that scene where they've got Alex's eyes held open with those little sort of like optical speculums and he's being bombarded with images. It's a bit like that, but I mean that in the best possible way. She's got a lot of channels and she's not scared to show you. You can just flip around. She's flipping the channels of things she says and things she's interested in, and she's showing me this and that medicine. I thought she'd be a really interesting person. Then we got into some controversial territory, and I do not want to upset anyone. I do not want anyone involved to think I'm picking a side. So if she does name some people, if you are one of those people or were involved, please feel free. I will offer you the right to reply, and you will be given every chance to give your side of the story. I don't hit my spring then, and I don't think there's a right or wrong. I just kind of think we need to get to a place where X can think one thing and Y can think another, and we somehow make it so they can both think what they think, and no one has to lose. I think we're obsessed with when you're obsessed with winning arguments online. It's no different to being obsessed with the other person losing. I mean, it's the same coin, right? So if you are, it sounds a bit like if anyone's been affected by any of the, you know what they used to say at the end of EastEnders when Trevor had beaten up that woman or whatever, by any of the, but if anyone is implicated in anything we spoke about, you can come on and tell me your side of it. I might contact you even if I've messaged you and you're thinking, well, this is a bit of I use the term drama farmer. I don't know if that's a term. I just said it. I don't know if she heard me. I thought, oh, have I coined a new phrase? I don't want to be it's got to be done, right? Drama farmer. But I hadn't heard it. I thought I'd come up with it. I don't want to be a drama farmer. But she's really force of nature. She had some interesting medical things that are slightly outside the norm. Pain management using marijuana rather than painkillers. And that's why I got her on. And she had all this stuff she was showing me, and I was like, "Let's talk about all this stuff you've got." Like she's funny about everything. You know, she'd say, "Oh yeah, that's my lip gloss," and she just was, I don't know, just funny about it. I thought she'd be a good person to talk to. And then it got into her brush with the cancel culture. Whether you believe in cancel culture or not, what I'm saying that is I'm just using shorthand to explain subjects that arose. So if you want, you know, I was a bit nervous about this one. I don't want to be on the wrong side of any particular group because I don't have skin in the game, and I hope people don't think it's irresponsible to platform people that think different things to them. Otherwise it will all just be one echo chamber that we reside in, and where's the fun in that? I don't think anything she said was that. If you think stuff she said was hateful, go to the police. And if there's no case to answer, then you're talking about opinions, aren't you? I mean, you definitely think your opinions are right. We all do. That's what we all have our own moral compass. But if there's no case to answer legally, then it's just you think what someone else is saying is wrong. And that means that what you think they could think is wrong. And we just have to learn to somehow live with each other. Ignore them and cut them out. But I think once you start contacting establishments and saying, I don't like this person's way of thinking, therefore you shouldn't employ them or have them on your stage, I do think that's a kind of terrorism. No, that's too strong a word. I think that's a kind of I don't know, I can't think of a better word. What's a good word for that? That's kind of, I think you're overstepping your mark as a human being. You're not in charge of who gets to say what and listen to what. We have hate speech laws in this country, like it or loathe it. You have to live by them. Maybe vote in the next lot might say, oh, we're going to increase more hate speech laws and do it democratically. But it's vigilantism, really, isn't it? I don't think that's a good road to go down, guys. But anyway, here she is. It's Gina Jenkins. I don't even know her surname. I hope that's it. Anyway, let's get into it. And here she is, coming from Pebble Mill. It's Gina. Hello. Sorry?
Pebble Mill at 1.
That's an old reference for people. Do you remember Pebble Mill at 1?
Yeah.
You look younger than me.
I'm much older than you.
Are you? How do you look so... Well, we'll get into your health. But we met for the first time on Friday. And I wanted to say to you, I really was going to stop and watch you, but the room was impossible to go in there and watch the other acts.
I've just got to let my dogs in.
Oh, that's absolutely fine.
So slick. Come on then, Mr. Frankleberry.
That probably is what her dog's called. Mr. Frankleberry, if you didn't get that.
Well, he's called Frank Cheeseman.
Frank Cheeseman?
Yeah. Come on, kitten. Come here. Sorry.
That's absolutely fine. So, yeah, we worked together on Friday. It was a lovely gig, wasn't it? I heard you had a great one.
Oh, yeah. I did. It was lovely. You warmed them up beautiful.
Yeah, I warmed them up all right. But I actually got hugged on the way out by a guy. Did I tell you that on the night?
No.
Yeah, as I left, there was a short walk from the stage to the... That's why I couldn't come watch you. The sort of like the door to the room was to the... whatever. And then as I was walking off, this guy... Look at that. I love dogs so much. That's a girl, though.
How rude of you.
Is it not?
Look at the size of that.
What are those? Oh, what are they? Are they not nipples?
He's got crazy big nipples. Yeah.
What?
But he's really insecure about it.
I didn't mean to say.
No, he's not. He didn't mean yours, he meant mine.
Yeah, so we worked together for the first time. And I wanted to have you on because this podcast is about people that have found... I don't know, it's people that think outside the box and people that have found solutions outside the box. And you had the most stuff I've ever seen anybody have.
Such a crack addict.
No, but I just mean you had like Mary Poppins carpet bag. You just kept pulling all this shit out. Yeah, and you was like, I've got this and this and this.
I can't go anywhere without a huge amount of stuff. I'm so high maintenance.
But no, you had the... I love dogs so much. You had... so you started pulling out... Well, do you want to... Can I say what you pulled out?
Oh, yeah. I have loads of marijuana.
Yeah.
I have CBD marijuana. I have high THC marijuana. Because I get it prescribed legally by the doctor. It comes like this, a little pack.
Right. So that's a sachet of weed, basically.
Yeah. That smell. Oh, it smells delicious.
Yeah, can you imagine a dog with a... Scooby-Doo basically was a dog with the munchies, wasn't it? That's what it was about.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
He did.
So you said to me, I get this prescribed. And my mind was a bit blown because obviously I listened to sort of American podcasts where I knew medical marijuana has been a thing for a long while. And I also know that in a lot of states they have recreational use. Yes. I didn't know. Why are they keeping it a bit of a secret or are they not?
It's been legal since 2018. So... they haven't really advertised it, although you're starting to see now adverts for Cure Relief who do mine, and I think there's a few other places. But yeah, it's so easy to get hold of. You don't... When you first have your interview, there's a bit of you that's thinking, "Oh, this is a setup."
Yeah, sting operation.
They're gonna say to me, yeah, you can't have it, you want it too much, or something like that. But because I was trying to act real casual, like, yeah, I'm not that bothered either way. But they don't want you to buy it illegally anymore, basically. And whatever the reason is you want it for, you can have it. I have a friend who has it purely for acute stress brought on by caring for somebody with an illness. And I've got friends who have got it for really debilitating illnesses. So you're eligible for it.
I'm gonna look into it. But slightly different subject. Before we will talk about it more. Obviously, I tried to get testosterone.
¿Por qué?
I know, but I went. You've met my wife. She told me. She didn't tell me I had low testosterone. She didn't. That would be an awful thing.
She makes testosterone race through my body, so she's lovely.
Yeah, I'm done well. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm punching. So what I did was I heard this thing to cheat the test, you sort of like get drunk and don't go to sleep. And then you go get your bloods done, and you can have. Because I wanted to get testosterone just because I don't know. I don't know. I just did. I wanted to look like Superman.
Testosterone. You don't need to have some testosterone.
No, I know
Your
I
body's
don't.
making enough.
No, that's right. I just wanted to get
enough
like
for
a
you.
big six pack and that, but I don't really care. But anyway, and I heard that in America, I've seen in sitcoms and that they always use they say just go down to the doctor and say you got glaucoma, and you get apparently. So did you smoke weed before?
I had never used any drugs up until my late 30s, and then I started smoking the occasional bit of weed, and I really, really liked it. The problem was it's a little bit demotivational.
It can be.
And it is if you're having the wrong strains.
Yeah.
If you're not having what you need, you can just get fat and not want to do anything.
Yeah, it's funny.
But with the doctor, gives you the one you need.
Yeah, because I know that there's two main strains: a sativa, which is more of a high up, and then indica, known as indicouch. That's the one that just it just quietens your brain a lot. Whereas the sativa one, like this one's a sativa one, wedding pop triangle, kids. Yeah,
and it helps you focus as well. So if you've got ADHD, it's perfect for ADHD because it stops you getting tired, and it still lets you be thinky, and it doesn't stifle any creativity.
I had some THC gummies, and I found they were like steroids for writing comedy. Not good comedy, maybe, but you definitely wrote a lot.
I have a system now because like all comedians, do you write longhand with a pen and paper?
I varies. I sometimes do. Yeah.
Well, if I'm high, I write in green ink, and if I'm not, I write in blue, and then I can look back and go, "Oh, for God's sake, I was stoned." That's why that was funny.
No, but I think the perfect bits are like a little bit of both, aren't they? They're sort of like unhinged, weed unhinged, but anchored in reality.
Yeah, anything. Watching, I think you should leave with Tim Robinson. You can tell everyone was high when they wrote that.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Oh, what I think
Have
you should
ever
leave.
Seen it? Yeah.
Yes, brilliant.
It's so funny. But they were all stoned.
Yeah, it had to be. And Eric Andre as well. I was getting his show was like that. So when you smoked it before, did you have any health issues at the time? I'm not saying you were taking it.
I did, but I didn't know.
No.
But like everybody, we've all got ADHD.
Yeah.
And I did find that I was just so overwhelmed constantly by everything. It was a nice way of just quietening everything down. But now I'm getting it prescribed, and I know what's wrong with my brain, parts of it. I know that you're right, you're overwhelmed for this reason, and I can only vape it. I never smoke it now. And it just helps quieten parts of your brain and lets you focus on one thing at a time.
I mean, I don't know how sort of like big picture you tend to view things, but it's sort of like magic. It sort of cures how can one thing cure so many things?
Well, I don't think it cures it. It just
alleviates.
Like I've also got a condition where sometimes I will just start twitching, and I find that if I have some CBD and some this, my twitching will stop.
Yeah.
So it is medicinal. It has such incredible properties, and it's so much better for you than having a drink. Because
that's my poison.
Often quietens
the demons down. I'm trying to drown them demons, and I'm about 35 years into the project, and they're still there.
Are you a drinker?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a problem drinker.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, it's so destructive.
I know.
Both my parents drank themselves to death because they were complete idiots.
Yeah.
And this is better.
I know it is.
I say holding it this bag.
Yes, that's a volcano. I know them from watching Getting Dug with High. Did you ever watch that?
No, I don't think so.
It was a podcast. There's an American stoner comedian called Doug Benson, and he is just a stoner. That's his whole you know, USP.
Yeah.
And he would get guests on, and they would pass the volcano around, and it's a bit like Hot Ones, where they eat the hot wings and have to talk. Well, they was like people.
Right.
Jack Black.
I'm definitely going to watch that.
Yes, Jack Black one. He had a safe word, and he said, "I don't smoke much." And Doug's like this. I mean, he's like a white Snoop Dogg. He's just always stoned. And Jack Black, I think he's like cantaloupe, and you're watching it going, what the fuck? And that was his safe word. He proper chucked the white. He had to bail.
It's horrible. Whiteys are awful. I haven't had one for such a long time, but I am a bit Snoop Dogg myself.
That's good.
I'm always stoned.
Subject of white my friends Francis and Constantine, who do trigonometry, went on Joe Rogan the first time, and they started smoking a spliff with Joe Rogan. And I was having empathetic whitey going, there's like 100 million people watching you. What are you doing? Imagine, I would get so paranoid in his little box room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God, being paranoid on. Oh, so he's seen a mouse. He saw a mouse. He got excited. We're outside, so he can see a mouse. Yeah, having a whitey on your own's horrific enough. Having a whitey in front of people, being that paranoid, horrible.
Yeah.
No, but I haven't had one for a really long time.
No, it sounds like you got a handle on it. So you're smoking it?
Well, no, I'm vaping it.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm going back. This is what I do.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, I'm difficult to follow. It's like Pulp Fiction, my interviews. It's like they start with the end, and then you get the middle, and then the beginnings. So, yeah, you're having a smoke in your late 30s, and you're thinking, I really like this. Now, do you think subconsciously, you might not have been aware of it, that it was helping these underlying issues, and you didn't, but you were just thinking, oh, I'm smoking weed, it's recreational, but you think there was more to it?
I just liked how I didn't feel quite so overwhelmed when I was having it. And I'm not a drinker. I'm not a big drinker because I watched both my parents drink themselves to stupidness. I've never really been that fussed about it.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'd never self-medicated, and I'd managed to get to like my late 30s, and then I found this, and it's like, oh, this is so nice. I really like this, and I kicked the arse out of it for about 10 years really, and it's only been in the last few years that I've had it prescribed, and the effects are completely different because I know what I'm buying. Because before you just buy whatever the runner brought you.
Yeah.
But now it's like the doctor says, well, this one will help with pain, and this one will help with anxiety, and then I have an indica one for evenings, which help you turn your brain off and relax and stop twitching. And
do you not think it's a scandal that it isn't lauded from, like, they're just like, why are they keeping this a bit quiet?
Every single person who's ever been on a marijuana charge should be out of prison and completely. Yeah. All their criminal history about marijuana should be deleted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's awful.
Because what they're saying with the social media, they're saying they might go back and see things you've said in the past that might not have been dodgy, that they should go back and exonerate people. Is that the right word? I feel like
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's completely the right word. It's a criminal that a medicine has been kept from people and also stigmatized so horribly that if, you know, a single mum's having it because she's stressed out, well, I was having it because I was stressed out as well, you know. So, but one person will be looked on like,
oh, look at her,
dodgy.
Yeah, her kids are on free school dinners, but she's got enough money for weed.
Enough money for that. Yeah. And I was brought up by, you know, really, really poor people, so I do know that there's not, you know, you've got your priorities, and if that was the one thing holding her together,
yeah, of course,
because, you know, weed should not be criminalised anywhere.
Yeah, so you're right. It's a scandal in that sense. Also, I mean, it's a scandal that the medical profession will start trumpeting something like Ozempic, which is not good. And this is natural.
I've had that.
You've said that?
I've had that.
Oh, you've had it? What was that like?
It was horrible. It felt like I was dying, but I was losing so much weight so quickly. I've always had I've always struggled a little bit with my relationship with food.
Mm.
And there was a doctor, not my wonderful doctor, who would never do such a thing, but there was a doctor who said, I can get you some, I think it was called Lirigatude or Victoza, which is basically a Ozempic. And he said, you'll lose weight really, really quickly. And I didn't even go into the clinic for that. I went into the clinic for something else. And he'd said to me, I walked in because I can't remember what I wanted. But I think it was like a little acid wash. And he said, do you want me to get rid of that mole on your face? And I went, no. And he went, really?
Mm.
And I went, no, I'm fine with it. And he went, do you want some slimming pills? And I went, yeah. And then he said, I'll get you something better. And he sold me about 3 or 4 syringes full of this Ozempic. And the weight falls off you so frighteningly quickly that it can't be doing you any good long term. And plus all the weight came back on anyway.
But when you're losing weight that quickly, I mean, you said you've had a weird relationship with food, but it sounds like you was not insecure because you said, oh, I'm not bothered about that on my face. And
yeah, I don't know why I've always been a bit, oh, I'm fat, so I'm going to starve myself or just not look after myself properly. It'll come from my mother, because everything does. But it's a real Achilles heel for so many people.
I've got it.
A really quick fix for fatness. I don't know why. Because I really don't care anymore.
No, I don't care anymore because it's weird. I'm doing this, and I have to look back at myself to edit it, you know. And I'm like, oh, look how fucking fat my face has got in like a week of boozing. And it would have crushed me, but I'm still aware of it. But I'm a bit like, so I've got a bit of a fat face this week. It goes up and down my face like a fucking.
Oh well, yeah, mine does, depending on what medication I'm on. So I'll look back at pictures of myself where if I've just had some steroids and my face is huge.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself I'm not a model.
Yeah.
I'm a comedian, and as long as everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
They're not going, oh, she was funny, but her face was quite fat.
Do you think anyone ever lays on their deathbed, Gina, surrounded by their family and goes, oh, I wish I'd just been a bit thinner all my life? No one gives a fuck, do they?
Exactly. It's so weird what you focus on when you're a bit mental.
I'm a bit mental. I'm a lot. I think I was, meeting you on Friday, I was like, oh, her and I are very similar. I just am a bit more squeamish about. You're very open about it. I've got loads of foibles, me, loads.
What like? Go on.
Well, the weight one resonated with me big. I remember I remember going out on a night out when I was 20, going, oh my god, I don't want them to take a picture of me. I'm so fat. And I look at that picture now and go, oh my god, but I remember someone whipping a camera out when it was an actual camera, kids. You had to go and get, like one of those disposable ones. And I can remember the feeling of them hearing it click, and I didn't want to be, and I looked fine.
Yeah, you looked absolutely lovely. And when you look back, I look back at pictures of me 10, 15 years ago and think, oh, Gina, you silly bitch.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So whenever I see a photograph of me now and I think, Jesus, who's he? I think in 10 years, I'll look back with quite affectionate eyes probably and think, oh, you should have enjoyed looking like that. Look at the state of you now.
Well, what we should agree between us is what we're going to do is every time we feel like that, we're going to go, oh, in 5 years, I'm going to look back at now and go, the 5 years of me in the future, I need to send him back to have a word with me now.
Absolutely.
Another foible of mine is I have intrusive catastrophizing thoughts to the point you would not believe.
Like what?
Oh, ridiculous things. Like
nuclear war?
No, me fucking up. It's never uncontrollable. It's me fucking up.
It's right. Okay.
Tourette's. It's almost Tourette's. Like, you know that whole thing of you're in the wedding and they go, does anybody know a reason any of these people shouldn't get married? I'm gonna go blah and fucking ruin it for everyone. And I think about it to the point where I have to sit on my hands and I start twitching.
Yeah, I understand that ever such a lot.
Do you?
It's awful. Yes. Yeah.
So when I was talking to you on Friday, that's what I mean. I could say, oh, I think I'm the same as her, but
I was sitting in the hospital waiting room yesterday with my mother-in-law. No, not yesterday. When was it? It was a few. Oh God, it was a while ago now.
Yeah.
I've got such
bloody stoner. Don't day of the week it is.
I know. It was the day I was supposed to be talking to you.
All right.
And she's sitting there, bless her, and she's such a lovely lady. And I'm really pressed for time. And the nurse comes through and she goes, "Hey, Mrs. Oliver, it's going to be a bit. The doctor's gone for his lunch. Are you all right waiting till he comes back from his lunch?" And she's like, "Yeah." No, we're not. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I accidentally lose my mind and flip a table? What if I do that? What if I just go mad and scream at everybody? And I do worry that I might one day just.
Well, if you have them all the time, if you don't act on these thoughts 999 times, the one time you do, you're in prison. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's it. That's why, I think you've got to be really careful how you insult people now. Like your insults have to come out like a bit of a compliment, because you might go to prison in 3 years.
Oh, there's that. Yeah, fuck me. Yeah.
So, you've got to be so careful with how you insult people.
Yeah, so, but anyway, that's the same. I was speaking to you Friday and I thought, oh, I think that we're very similar, but I've got this, I don't know if it's not a mask I've got. I wouldn't want to call it that and think of it as
Everybody wears a mask. Person means persona, which means mask.
Yeah,
Everyone's
sure.
A mask.
I guess I grew up in a sort of, the working class, toxic masculine environment. You couldn't admit any shit back then. I mean, I've only just started to admit it all to myself recently. That's how ingrained it is.
Yeah.
So you said you had some brain things wrong with parts of your brain. Do you mean something specific?
Yeah. Well, I've got certain health problems which just boring and I won't bore you with. But I had an MRI and they found that there's 2 parts of my brain that just don't work anymore. They don't light up for anything. And they're the parts of my brain that deal with stress and emotion. So I can't really regulate my crying. Like I'll cry for anything. Like the nicest things, I'll just start crying. I do karaoke with not for like I do it at hospitals, and I'm singing. This gentleman asked me to sing in the ghetto, and I just finished watching The Wire. I just burst out crying, and I'm like, "Oh, it's fine. It's just a nice song. Like, I can't stop." That would make me laugh that I'm associating in the ghetto with The Wire and but I'm like, tears are streaming down my face. I can't sing Save All Your Kisses for Me without just bursting into tears. So it's this part of my brain that just helps me not get stressed. Or so if I get really anxious, I'll lose motor function, or I can't. It's like I have a stroke.
Like them goats. Those goats, that narcoleptic goats. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was listening. Do you know who Rory Sutherland is?
No.
He's like this marketing guru. You might have seen. He looks a bit like Miriam Margolyes. He's quite posh and he's always on about like, if you go to McDonald's, it's never good, but it's never shit.
It rings a bell now you've described.
Yeah, I'm going to describe him. Basically, I was talking about this on the other podcast I do. He said that hares have a randomizer in their brain, so when they're stressed and a dog's chasing them, that hare coursing or whatever, they don't know what they're doing, so they'll go left, right, jump, spin round, and the hare isn't making that decision, and they've evolved to do that, so the dog can't read them. Isn't that quite
incredible? That's like a glitch.
Yeah, well, that's what you've got.
Yeah, I have got a little bit of a glitch.
So if you think about two things we've just said, piece them together, you've got that sort of like intrusive thought, I don't want to like stab that person in the eye with a fork. Maybe you lose motor skills, so you can't do it. Maybe it's your evolution.
That is like a very good sort of security system that I've got in place to stop me from just randomly killing you. Thanks.
So when they said that about your brain, is it sort of physically just not working, or do they mean like? Because I know like they say like with taxi drivers that have to do the knowledge, a certain part of their brain enlarges. Is yours just inactive, or is it sort of damaged?
Just completely dark. He said it's brain damage, but they don't know why it's damaged. But it could be for all sorts of reasons. I mean, my mum used to hit me on the head with her knuckles. It could be that. It could
I'd say it's definitely in the.
I'm like, if I had to bet on it, it's probably that, and that's probably why I've got tinnitus. And I used to say to my mum when I was little, I can hear electricity. And my mum said, we all can, you're not special. So I always thought that everybody could hear this. So I never brought it up. So I didn't even mention it till I was like really old. And so we went, no, that's tinnitus. That's not electricity.
So yeah, but you've been hit on the head too much. I've been hit on the head too much.
Have you? Why? Did you know my
Well,
mom?
in them days, I used to get hit on the head if I did something wrong, and I also played rugby and just was an idiot and banged my head a lot because I was just a bloke. Do you know what I mean? Like,
isn't it amazing? It's incredible how we've managed to get this far in our lives, because people with a fraction of a slightly less toughened skull wouldn't have got this far.
So do you think that that's where our little... Not this, like, I feel like we're playing sort of like, I don't know, some sort of card game where we're comparing like our hands. But do you think that's where these foibles, you know,
Who's to say? I don't know. Oh, it could be all sorts of. It could be bad nutrition as a child, head trauma, emotional abuse.
Did you eat a lot of Angel Delight?
I wished.
Yeah, all right, you're doing that. That Yorkshireman sketch.
I dreamed of waking up to a bowl full of poison.
Yeah, do you remember the thing called Rise and Shine? It was like powdered orange juice.
Oh, I think so.
You used to get it from B Jam, and it was like this. It was like acid. It tasted like fucking drinking acid.
Was it?
I mean, it was a luminous orange. It came in as... It was Angel Delight, but instead of making mousse, it made a jug of orange juice, which was just get orange juice.
It almost taste a bit like it had the peel in it as
well?
Yeah, I think I do remember. We didn't have it, but I think a neighbour of ours used to get that in.
Yeah. It's fucking mad, man, the shit we used to eat. And my shoes were always too small. My toes were all fucked up.
My coat was always massive because I was going to grow into it.
Have you got any siblings or...
I've got a lot of siblings. Yeah, I've got 5 brothers, but we weren't brought up together. But I just would get like jumbled saily stuff, so it was always huge.
Yeah,
like, oh God,
some dead bloke's coat on an 11-year-old girl. So
you'll grow into it. It's warm.
Yeah, it's fine. But so you've been prescribed the weed, and is it instant when you smoke it? Or do you have to build it up?
Yeah, it is pretty much. Especially with like muscle spasms and things, it's like within minutes, it's stopping. Oh, it's fabulous. And as far as anxiety, I also have a problem with sometimes I'll get too anxious to eat, and it's surprising to look at me. But sometimes it feels like my throat just shuts. And I'll put my food in my mouth and I'll chew for ages and I'll think, oh my God, it won't go down. I can't swallow. But having that, if I have that before I have anything to eat, I don't have that. My throat just doesn't stop me from eating. And it's just anxiety.
See, this is the problem. I've got an upgrade or I'm going to run out of time message. Have you gone?
Oh, no.
I know, that's why I use... Where have you gone? Oh, hang on. This is why I got dug out. Here we go. I got dug out for using Skype from everyone I've had on this podcast. But Skype's unlimited for free. Yeah.
Yes, it is. That is good.
We might have to do 2. I don't know what's going to happen. So, have you ever had it where you can't get your prescription, and what happens then? Do you get the DTs or anything?
I am. There's literally no withdrawal. I've never experienced any withdrawal from it other than I'm bored. That's it. But it's like I don't have terrible dreams, or I've gone like I used to be able to. If you went on holiday, you couldn't take it with you. Or you can take it now. Do
you have a little card or whatever?
I don't, but it's on my records that I can take it as long as I'm taking it to a country where it's legal.
Oh yeah, so you wouldn't take it to like Dubai or anything?
No. I'm not going there anyway.
No, it's not worth losing a hand over, is it?
No, well, not at all.
So that was the first thing that came out of your Mary Poppins bag. Then I think you pulled out I don't know if you want to talk about that big ball thing.
My butter beads.
Yeah.
The beads.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my legal weapon.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. My brother told me to carry them because my brother's really, really, really good at fighting.
Right.
He's got 2 black belts, And I said to him, will you teach me something? And he went, no, there's no point. Because unless you do it every day for years, you won't think to do it in a time of stress. So he said, the one thing you should have is a lanyard with keys on it.
Right.
Something that's not going to snap off, keys that you're not going to need if they fall off, and you don't let them near you. He said, that's the best advice I can give you. And he said, get this big lanyard. And he gave me a really big lanyard. And then I went online and I found Buddha beads, which is basically a necklace, but it's got a steel rope in it, and the beads are made of ball bearings.
It's very heavy. I felt it.
It's so heavy, and you just wrap it around your hand and swing it. And I do that if I'm in London. I just like to look unhinged.
Yeah.
So people don't approach me.
Like that fucking bloke out of Clockwork Orange, smoking weed and walking around with your beads.
And I also do the very beginning bit of, the Nene Cherry's Kisses on the Wind. So when people with white lips approach me asking for change, I say, "Pero chicamaramente que dice," and then they just back off.
What, you go Latin?
Yeah, I'm more nuts than you.
Yeah. That's what they say, don't they? They say that when you go in prison, just act mental.
My son was walking home from work, and some kids set upon him, and he started screaming in their faces, and they ran off. And I said to him, God, what made you think to do that? And he just said, I just wanted to look more crazy than them. And that's what he did. He looks a bit crazy.
Instinctively, again, like I'm going back to we've got these little things that our brain does to maybe protect us.
Yeah, because I don't think my son's probably a natural fighter.
No, and yeah, that's nothing wrong with it. I used to think that was terrible.
No, but he can't cope if there's a label sticking him in his neck. So
yeah,
it's not gonna be
MMA might not be his road.
Yeah, like, oh God, what's this? Is it glitter?
Got fucking choked out by a scarf.
Yeah, so he used the skills he did have, which was looking crazy.
Yeah, that works.
From his mama. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else you had. You had weed, you had weapons, then you started getting out.
Barb gel.
Yes, you had spray.
Yes.
So what's
Barb
that?
Gel. Barb gel is when somebody tries anything, you can spray it on them and they can't wash it off for like 2 weeks. And the more they try and wash it off, the more it spreads about. So it's easy to identify them.
Have you ever seen anyone walking about with it on?
Never.
That's the thing, isn't it?
I've never seen it. But you'd stay in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you're grounded. if you've got the red nonce paint on your face, it's best stay in for a bit, bruv.
Yeah, be like, oh, I've got flu, got a really bad cold sore. But I'm so hyper vigilant. I have my rucksack's stab proof, and I have farb gel in one hand. I have my butter beads in the other hand, and I have my ear pods on.
Playing the Rocky theme.
they're magnifying the audio. I don't know what's that. What are the words I'm thinking?
Amplify.
Thank you. Amplify. Yeah. So I've got them in, but
you're like a fucking Marvel hero with your heightened ears and all your weapons.
I'm just really paranoid.
I don't. If you don't have to, I don't want to pry too much. So, have you been attacked in the street or anything?
No, never. I've never been attacked in the street, and I think it's down to the fact that I'm so vigilant.
Well, you're not going to be after this.
Tried. No. I've had people try and pick my pockets on numerous occasions, and I've been, no, you don't, pack it in. 2 people were trying to pick my pocket in a lift, and I kept moving around. I was saying, I know what you're doing.
See, that is very aware because
distract me.
They're so good at that. The fact that I bet they hardly ever get caught. So you are very.
No, I'm super vigilant. Ever since I was a kid, I used to want to be a detective, and I used to carry a little notepad around, and I used to write the times of people walking past and what time they came back. And oh God, I was such a weirdo. But I watch everybody. I watch their hands. I watch where they're going.
I'm like that.
And I love watching people in supermarkets, and I can spot when somebody's a shoplifter straight away. I'm really good at spotting who to watch.
Don't you live in Hull?
I do.
That's everyone who isn't wearing a security outfit is a shoplifter.
I live in the posh bit.
All right.
Hessel.
No, I know. It looks lovely where you are.
It is. Well, this is my garden. This
Yeah.
is my neighbour's garden wall.
Oh, right.
I had a roof put on it, so
Yeah.
it's like a little. Yeah, there
So
you go.
I'm quite vigilant like that, and it can be a bit of a curse because when I meet someone new, and my wife will be like, "Oh, they seem nice," and I'm like, "Oh no, did you not see the way he stirred his tea wrong?"
Yes. Do you know we should maybe start like a detective agency or
Yeah.
something? Because I reckon we'd be really good. What with your paranoia and all my gadgets.
Yeah, you're Inspector Gadget. That's who I should have referenced for all your shit. But you had like a wheeled suitcase and loads of bags. You got a bag on now. You sit in your own garden. You're going on up.
Oh, I know. I always have a bag. Well, my bag is full of poo bags. I've got tissues. I've got hand wipes. I've got my earpods. Oh, I've also got with me my CBG oil. CBG and my CBD oil.
Oh, what's CBG? I thought you just got it wrong.
No, CBG. Hang on, I can't find where your camera.
Yeah. I can see it. Yeah, it looks good.
CBG, yeah.
Yeah.
And the CBD.
So
If you use them all
CBG's.
together, it makes it better.
So you got a little you got cocktails going on
Oh, yes.
because you had a vape.
I take it seriously.
No, you do. So
Yes.
you would. What would you say is what would you recommend to someone who's going, do you know what? I think I want to get some fucking weed off the doctor. How do they go about it?
Well, I would go to Cure Relief. I think it's curereliefclinics.com and fill out a little form, and you just give them permission to look at your doctor's, your medical records.
Yeah.
And there will be a reason you can be prescribed it. You don't have to have it in green form. You can have it as gummies or as oil. You don't have to vape it. You can't smoke it. That's illegal.
So you don't get what you so you get bud or not?
I do, yeah.
So what do you do with that?
I grind it and I put it either in the volcano or in my little handheld vape.
So you have to vaporize it, do you, legally?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I wouldn't know why anybody wouldn't vape it. After vaping it, I wouldn't know why you wouldn't do it, because you can vape it maybe 3 or 4 times. You can only smoke it once and you don't get any of the benefits, really.
And there's a stigma to smoking it. I wouldn't want to be in my back garden smoke, even though it's legal. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I know other people kind of do. So I don't want my neighbours smelling it, and going, oh, that.
Well, when you're vaping it, you can vape it anywhere there's a vape license.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would vape. I wouldn't.
So it's just great. And it's not obtrusive. I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, so what was it called again? St. Leaf?
Cure Relief. CURA Leaf.
Right.
And you'll fill a form in, you'll have an interview, and it is about the same price as getting it from, do you want to go outside? About the same price as getting it from a dealer, except you have got, it's clean, that it's...
And you haven't got to go to the skanky part of Hull to get it?
Yeah.
That's why, see... You don't need all your tools if you're going down the dispensary. There'll be a little edit there and everyone will notice that this has changed, because this is the thing with Zoom. You get a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Well, do you want to go back to Zoom?
No, I don't. Fuck them. I like since the internet came about, I begrudge paying for anything. All of my software is hacked, illegal download. I would not pay 20 pence for something that I depend on. I don't know why I'm like that about digital stuff.
Not from Yorkshire, are you?
My wife is.
I thought she was from Norfolk as well.
No, well, we live here. She's from.
Yeah.
She doesn't like me to say Doncaster.
Oh, she's from Donny.
Yeah, it's not that bad, is it?
Oh.
Yeah, it's fucking shit.
That secret.
We went there once, and her mum was like, "Oh, I've never been into the town." She goes, "Oh yeah, go down the French Gate Centre and all that." And I went down there, and there's these fucking all these skinny blokes twitching and lurching about and talking to themselves.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I've never seen them before. And I got back and her mum was like, did you see all the spice heads? And I didn't know what that was, but I went, yeah, I did. I knew it was them.
Yeah.
And I went, it's a bit rough down there. She went, oh, I would never go down there. I was like, what you fucking send me down there for? Like fresh meat.
Hello, pretty girl. This is Miss Violet Chalk.
So, so you've got all these medical things. Is there anything that the marijuana doesn't touch? Is there anything that you've got that you need something else for, or you?
The marijuana pretty much takes care of almost everything. It helps with everything. I wouldn't feel guilty about recommending it to anybody. Whereas there'll be certain things like a painkiller. Like I would rather take the. Sometimes you get too much pain and you have to take proper pharmaceutical painkillers, but only when you absolutely have to, when it's absolutely necessary. Because this stuff is great.
Why isn't it just prescribed to everyone for everything? Why do you have to go? Why have you got to go through this Curaleaf? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having to do that, but shouldn't they be like?
I know, but you should be allowed to just grow it in your own garden.
You can't do that.
I think you can grow 4 plants if you're a medical user. I think you're allowed to grow 4.
Right.
But it's really hard to grow.
Is it? I know that they're men and women, aren't they, the plants? And don't you have to bone them and then get rid of the men?
Yes, you do. Because if they turn male, you don't get any flowers.
Fuck, they're weird. They're like aliens, weed plants.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Do you feel like anything sort of spiritual or sacred about it, or is it just it works? You don't think that way?
No, I don't. I'm not a very spiritual person. Although I did take LSD once, and I'm pretty sure mine and Violet's souls touched.
I think that's true. Because that's the thing.
I think we did.
But that's the thing. People go, "Oh, it's just the drugs." But it's like, well, how do you know that they don't? Oh, fucking hell! How do you know that it's like you're not just opening up some sort of other dimension or portal? That's what it feels like, doesn't it?
It did when I was on LSD. Yes, it really did. It felt like our souls came out of our eyes and touched each other.
And you haven't been tempted to go back?
Lovely. No, I'm not that fussed. I might have some mushrooms at some point, but the only thing about taking things is I don't like how long it lasts.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I've had enough of it now. Just stop 5 minutes. Just give me a break from tripping balls.
You know, they say that psilocybin can repair like things like you've got those dark spots in your brain. It can repair that.
Yeah, with microdosing and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine has suggested I microdose. But the problem with that is it sounds like you have to be fairly organised.
You could obviously find a local shaman to help do all that for you.
I think there's one near the bridge.
There's always one near the bridge.
Yeah, I'll ask him around.
Just find the bloke that's walking around in the pyjama bottoms with the big tambourine thing.
Yeah. You make it all sound so simple.
It is all so simple. So, I don't know if you want to get into anything else, do you, or not?
No, not really. I mean, no.
Because, I was going to say you've... Nah, fuck it. I don't want to...
Oh, what? Go on.
No, I was going to say, obviously, I messaged you the other week because you got...
about that? Yeah, you can if you want. Yeah, you can if you want.
I don't want to be like a drama farmer.
No, you won't. Yeah, that's fine. Don't want to make this up a little bit.
Okay, the only thing is, I will say is you got into an online spat with...
Because they found out I was a TERF.
A TERF, right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, as someone who suffers with intrusive, anxious, catastrophizing thoughts, that would have fucking set me off insane. I would have thought there would have been minibuses of people turning up. That's how I get.
Well, it happened in about 2015 to 2016. A group of people first found out I was a TERF, and I was getting threats. Like they were sending messengers, really feeble threats.
Yeah.
Like maybe somebody should pay you a visit kind of threat. And when it first happened, I thought, shit, I'm going to have to just go dark online because I don't think I'll be able to cope.
Yeah.
But I didn't get any threats personally. I got messages from people saying, me too, I just daren't say anything.
That's the thing.
And they're like, oh, well, if you did say something, it'd be easier for everybody to say something. And I just said, that's okay. And they're like, we feel exactly the same way, but if we say anything, we won't get booked. And I am in an incredibly privileged situation where I just do gigs I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't...
Just as well.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to finish you off.
Yes, absolutely. But they didn't do a very good job because I just got more gigs. I lost one, and I got offered way more. And luckily, and what I did say was, they called me all sorts of things, because I know that women don't have penises, and they called me some terrible things, but they couldn't say I was a bad comedian, and that really stained me. Like, they couldn't say, yeah, and she's shit. I'm not though, am I?
It's funny when people do that. I remember back in the day when someone would write for those that don't know, Chortle is like an industry website that used to be a really hot forum for comedians. And they had a section on the front page where you could write a correspondence piece. Like, you would go, oh, I think this and that. And I noticed that people always try and discredit you by, they'd go like, people that disagreed with the point, in this very poorly written article, I'm thinking, oh, fuck off, what, you gone through it with your red pen? Like, just say you disagree with them. And like you're saying, if they couldn't say she's a shit comedian, because that'd be their first port of call if they thought they could.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's the first thing I go for if somebody's irritated me or come for me, and I know that they're not a very good comedian, I'm quite happy to say, you're not even a very good comedian. But they can say what they like. But I know I'm pretty good at being Kelli Taylor.
Yes, yeah. So, I should say Gina does a character act called Kelli Taylor, Hairdresser to the Stars.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and I heard someone said to me that you absolutely roofed it after I left on Friday.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was such a lovely gig.
Do you know what? Do you want me to tell you exactly what I heard?
Go on.
Well, it's all of us. I can bathe myself in the same praise. We're teamwork. Yes. The MC who does it very, very regularly said...
The Irish fella.
Yeah, he said that's probably the best night that club's ever had.
We did good.
Didn't we?
Look at us grinning.
I know. So you came out as a TERF, and then you got... Somebody took action, but didn't just take it. They took action and advertised they took action. Okay.
Yeah, everybody's favourite.
I don't know.
Sent me a message and said, I found out that you're transphobic, so I'm removing you from the lineup. And I don't give a fuck. So that's exactly what I replied with. Thank you, don't give a fuck. And he then went on to his Facebook and said, I've removed Kelli Taylor from the lineup because of her transphobia. And it wasn't even my best transphobia.
Yeah.
You know, I've done some pretty good transphobia. This was quite weak for me.
So you joke about that word, but really, I mean, it's like the trouble with the way things are now is if we take another issue like racism, which we can all agree racism's awful, but then it's like, well, what constitutes racism? Obviously, you've got at the top causing harm or discrimination or using like violent language, and then you've got like these other things, and they go, well, that's racist. You go, well, hang on, I agree racism's bad, I agree transphobia is bad, but do you even think that what you think as a TERF, as your term is, do you think what you think is transphobic?
Well, I think that no man can be a woman.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's your opinion.
And I think it's fine if you want to put dresses on,
yeah.
You want to change your name, that's absolutely fine. But it didn't stop there. It became, repeat this mantra.
Yeah.
And then it became, well, we're sending this double rapist to a woman's prison, and we're stripping women of their scholarships and giving them to big lanky teenage boys. Like, no, that's gone from we just want to blend in and live our lives to we want to dominate.
And also, whose rights trumps whose rights? Like, what about the rights of the American female athlete that's going to miss out on a college scholarship?
The fact that Caitlyn Jenner was awarded Best Woman 6 months after he killed somebody. Like, you really think Caitlyn Jenner's the best woman? You don't think that's a little bit insulting to the doctors and human rights lawyers?
And possibly patronising to trans people?
Yeah, it's patronising to trans people. It's like, oh, we think this one's the best one. And what was her name? Oh, God, I've forgotten her name. Kim Howe. He'd killed Kim Howe 6 months previously. And his first thought when he was arrested was, I hope I don't go to a man's prison. That's not a woman. And I have been penalised for it, but that's fine.
Well, that's the thing.
It's all virtue signalling. Because
I mean, it is.
was happily booking a man who'd been to prison for violence against women, and he said, but he's paid for his crime, but my crime will never be forgiven. My thought crime.
No, that's true. I think that's true.
Yeah, absolutely, because he hates women. I don't care. He hates women.
Well, if you apologise, I'm not saying, but I know that when you're on the wrong side of the kind mob, if you I had this. Do you know I had a flat Earth guy on here the other week?
Yes, you said yes.
And I posted it in a flat Earth group, and I got a little taste of it. Oh my God, the people, the Globers, and I don't think the Earth's flat. Oh, sorry, Gina. But I just thought I'd talk to him, and I got called a Nazi and vile, and people going, "What's your real name?" Because I'm such a marketing putz. I realised I haven't even said my name on this. I haven't on purpose. I just haven't.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I was going, I don't want to tell him what my real name is, and I started visualising the minibus full of thugs outside my fucking house. But
and doesn't it dilute what Nazi actually means as well?
Yeah, let's get into that because it's.
Nazi.
I know. Someone said, "Oh, denying science," and he had a picture of the Nazis. I'm thinking that's NASA. Do you know that NASA are all Nazis?
Yes, because they
Werner von Braun, Operation Paperclip.
Yes.
I'm like, you saying the science? Fucking anyway, I don't want to get into the science deny thing, but with the pandemic and the vaccine and all that shit. So you found yourself ousted from a gig, publicly shamed, I guess. What would you call it? Using the public square, weren't you?
But yeah, it was just on a couple of comedians' Facebooks. One comedian took it down pretty quickly, but the other ones kept it up because they were virtue signaling like mad. But it's the minute this is no longer the fashionable take, they'll completely sink away and try and change the narrative.
Yeah.
I know they will. That I don't deny anybody's existence, and I don't care however you want to live your life. But I don't think men can be women, and I won't lie to make somebody feel better. That's weird.
But
don't trans your children, creep.
Well, children shouldn't be able to decide life changing anything. I wouldn't let a child choose a tattoo, for fuck's sake. So,
no.
But where you're, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is the thing, you're accused of being this hateful,
racist bigot as well.
Yeah. So, but that doesn't sound like your issues come from a place of hatred for trans. It's like a protection of your fellow woman.
Yeah, I'm just a feminist, and but you're not allowed to be a feminist unless you think men can be women. But I don't. So I'm not allowed to do comedy.
That is the thing that people listening to be like, oh, boo-hoo, cancel culture. But people do think you shouldn't be allowed to do comedy for thinking that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They said I should. I saw a couple of people were emailing other bookers to say you shouldn't. A man called was emailing bookers to say if you've booked her recently, get rid of her. She's been transphobic. One, and I'm trying to think of the other guy. Where they were emailing people like, you pathetic little dick.
No,
You've got nothing better to do.
Yeah, I mean to try and damn it.
And then I got a couple of the bookers they'd emailed and sent me a message. Go, believe me, we think this guy's a dick.
Yeah.
So it backfired because it just gave me a little bit of strength and comradeship from somebody else that they didn't know. So
yeah. So do you think that the tide is turning a bit? Then do you think like 2 years ago it might have been different?
I think most people just thought, oh come on, be kind, respect pronouns, but pronouns were rohypnol, and while we're respecting pronouns, things are going in through the back door. We're medicalising children now. What?
Yeah. So that's another controversial character. I know Graham Linehan. I think he lives here in Norwich.
I adore him.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So I was going to say before I get onto that, I think that the part of the problem that he's faced is, you said like, oh, people say stuff and they don't say stuff publicly. As a man, I kind of feel like, oh, it's not really my. I don't want to be a man going telling feminists how to be feminists.
Yeah, I think it's he never has.
No, he hasn't. But I'm
you
just
know,
saying, I think...
he's always stood up for women as an ally. He doesn't call himself a feminist. He calls himself a feminist ally. And he's remarkable. I can't believe what... Have you read his book?
No, I don't. I've never read a book.
Well, listen to it on audiobook, because honest to God, it's one of the best comedy writing books.
Yeah.
This, like, I've written bits of my character's sitcom, and just listening to his process on how he wrote sitcoms, I just scrapped big parts of my storyline. Just went, oh God, it would be so much better if I did it this way. It's probably one of the best comedy writing skills book you could get, and remarkable what he's been through.
And again, no one could, like they couldn't you. They can't level at him. He's a bad comedy writer. He's one of the best.
Yeah. Well,
so they have to overdo the transphobic thing, maybe. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, of course they have to demonize him, because they can't say, well, you're not even a big... Well, he's cult classic. It's none of his comedies will, apart from maybe Hippies, nobody's going to go, that was rubbish.
I see these kind people going, oh, his wife even left him. Oh, he's just sitting in his house alone. I'm like, you are so cruel.
Well, for one thing, yeah, he's definitely not sitting in his house.
No, I know.
I know, but they seem to think he's just sitting there being sad, and it's like far from it. But yeah, his marriage broke down over trans rights activists being absolute dicks. But he can hold his head up. Like, he's written the finest comedies of a generation. And when Pope Ted finally goes to the theatres, which it will eventually, Jimmy Mulville will release him from his horrible contract. Hopefully he'll make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, it's funny because there's parallels, I'm just thinking, between the way people were treated who spoke out against the lockdown. Like they haven't, like Mark. I'm having Mark Dolan on soon, and he got loads of shit on his show. He ripped up a mask, and it turns out they didn't do anything. But no one ever apologises. No one ever goes back. But Rachel Maddow on CNN was going, if you've been vaccinated and you get COVID, the COVID dies. That wasn't true, and she doesn't get slapped on the wrist, and he doesn't get exonerated.
No, I don't understand how, if we've had the vaccine, then how come it matters if I have my
exactly.
mask? I did always wear my mask because I'm quite lazy and I just really like the anonymity of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Of not having to speak to people. So I was quite keen to wear them. But if somebody wasn't wearing theirs, but I've had my vaccine, so it's fine, surely. Like, the only person who is at risk is the person who wasn't vaccinated. Why is that? Why aren't we acting like that was the thing you told us? You told us to have the vaccine and we'll be all right.
It's almost like a ginger insisting all his black mates wear sun cream. It's like, if you're vulnerable to something, you protect yourself, but don't force it on everyone.
Yeah.
Especially shutting the schools. I've said it on here before. Children are bounced. The stepson got COVID for about 2 hours.
Yeah. It was awful what we put the kids through. And I'm so lucky. I was in lockdown in here. I've got a huge garden and I've got a nice house and I've got dogs. I was so, it really didn't touch me. I was so blessed. And all I kept thinking about was, there are people trapped with their abusers right now.
Yeah.
If this had been me as a kid,
half your brain would be dead.
Exactly. Like, there's so many people trapped with people that are going to kill them. And I was volunteering at a care home where they were just drugging them. And I wasn't allowed to go anymore, but nobody was allowed. They just drugged the residents and kept them in the rooms. It was so heartbreaking to think, we're just letting this is just allowed to happen then. We're just not going to pay attention to so much of this. It was absolutely heartbreaking.
That's the thing, Gina. You're saying that, I was all right, but you're thinking about the people that aren't. Sounds like your TERF arguments are not about you. You're sorted. It's about the people that are suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. There's women that I do voluntary work with that are the women my age, and they have Down syndrome or dementia or all sorts of reasons that they are so vulnerable. They need female only care completely. And the problem, and this isn't anecdotal for me, but it's an anecdotal story. But women who have learning difficulties don't understand that the man in a dress is identifying as a woman.
Yeah.
That's really stressful for them. For a woman with dementia, I know that this 6-foot man in lipstick isn't really a woman. We're gaslighting people. We're gaslighting people who know, like, white from black, and we're telling them to ignore every single instinct in their body so as we don't offend this guy.
Yeah, because like you said,
what are we doing?
People with learning difficulties don't get that veneer of political correctness or societal, whatever it is.
No.
Just the trouble is, it's a bit like the immovable object and the unstoppable force, isn't it? Because like you said earlier, and I do genuinely believe that we all think that I want people to live their best life and be happy, whatever that is, that what they present to the world. But then there does come a point where that is going to infringe on someone else's right. And it's a little bit like I always thought it was a bit like that, where you'd get like in America, some cake shop won't make a birthday cake for 2 gay blokes getting married, or wedding cake, sorry. And I go, I wouldn't go into a Muslim cafe and demand they cook bacon. I mean, so it's a weird thing where you've got a right to live your life your way, and they've got a right to live their life their way. Sometimes it's not going to jive. Sometimes it isn't going to be both can't. Something's got to give. Yeah. And I guess talking about these hypothetical things, because people would go about TERFs like they'd say about J.K. Rowling and Graham Linehan, the big ones. I go, why are you so bothered? Why do you keep thinking about it? It's like, because needs to be sorted out.
Because it's important for children, and it's important. I went past Primark yesterday. I went in Primark, but on the window outside there was a photograph of a young woman who'd had a double mastectomy, huge scars, self-harm scars up her arm. What are we doing celebrating mental illness like that when you're cutting yourself all the way up your arm? Why is a doctor cutting your breasts off? That's the ultimate self-harm. If none of these cuts solve the problem, why will these ones solve it? They don't. It's butchering healthy bodies and then putting them on a lifetime of cross-sex hormones that are causing osteoporosis and early cancers and kidney failures. They are.
They call them hormone blockers, but they're actually sterilisation drugs, aren't they?
Yeah, they're giving them Lupron, as puberty blockers, a Lupron, which is something that they give men in late-stage testicular cancer. And it was also used for chemical castration for paedophiles and homosexuals. And they considered it to be a cruel and unusual punishment and took people off it. But now they're giving it to kids to stop their puberty. I want to know why people are fighting to keep kids' bodies prepubescent. Why are you making this child stay prepubescent till after the age of consent? What's in it for them?
We're talking about the elites and some of their little parties they have.
I'm talking about the people, the doctors.
They're going along with it.
Well, the therapists at Tavistock, the guys who were actually putting these children on puberty blockers, one of them's just been done. Another one has just been done for trying to groom a child for sex, for rape. So there's a reason a group of adults are trying to sterilise and keep children's bodies prepubescent.
So if there was a single policy and I said to you, right, just try one thing, I think if we can't all agree that before the age of consent, you're not allowed to have any non-reversible surgery, or I just think even the proest of pro-trans, why can't they just go, yeah, okay?
Yeah, because a lot of people have trans their children and they've got to justify it now. They can't say, that's a hill they're going to have to die on. They can't go, I shouldn't really have trans my 4-year-old son. They're never going to admit.
It's a bit like getting the barbed wire tattoo around your arm. It's very dated, isn't it? It's like, your kid must have been like 15 in like 2020. That's very, it's like what do you call it? Stone-clad house, the stone-clad house up the street.
Yeah, when they did that in the 80s or the 70s. Yeah, it's true though, because people with Munchausen's by proxy, or as they call it,
Yeah, I know that.
factitious disorder now.
Yeah.
They made their kids sick, but this way they can make their kids trans and get congratulated. And people have dedicated entire TikTok careers to the transing their children.
Yeah, I've seen that Jeffrey guy. He's so creepy. Have you seen him?
Oh my, yes, have I seen him?
Yeah,
oh,
he gives me the creeps. As an adult man, I'm terrified of him. I don't know what it is, and there's nothing to do with his trans.
He tells children to contact him without telling their parents.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a red flag, Jeffrey.
Why aren't we allowed to bring up our own children? It's like the state wants to do it, isn't it? It's like they don't even consult the parents.
There are places where you can lose custody of your children if you don't respect their gender identity or don't put them on puberty blockers. It's in, I think it might be Canada.
So everyone on the other side, why don't they realise? And I'm not even on their side really. I don't try not to be on this. If you're letting the government, if you think the government should be involved in bringing up other people's children, then the landscape will change or can change, and they're going to impose something on your fucking children that you don't like. Yeah, or potentially. Yeah. It's the thing. It always changes, doesn't it? It always changes. So how did that sort of like just finish up? I guess how did that affect any of your sort of issues?
Occasionally, somebody will message me and call me something rude, but I'm not that bothered because I've got a pretty sweet life, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do the gigs I want to do. Like I did that gig with you, which was so lovely, and I don't have to do it for the money. I do it for the attention. So I just do the gigs I want to do.
Well, you are should be allowed to think whatever you want to think, provided there are hate speech laws in place, and if they had been broken, you'd be arrested.
Of course, wouldn't I have been?
Yeah, they couldn't. But you weren't. So what you said was fair game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think saying, well, I think that trans people should have up to a point where it starts encroaching on other people's civil liberties and rights. Even when people go, it's such a small chance, 1% chance is too much. If one transitioned and then regretted it a year later,
and there's dozens and thousands, in fact, there's thousands of them, and I follow them on X, and there's some of these women that have absolutely sliced their bodies to pieces. They've had phalloplasties from their legs and from their arms, and now their arms and hands don't work properly, or they walk with a cane, and they still can't stand up to pee. They have to pee through a tube in their stomach. What have we done to these women?
So are they just the other side? Just ignore them, or just say that's
yes, absolutely. And
right.
If you go on X, if you look at the people I follow and the women that are on testosterone, and it's destroying their bodies, absolutely destroying it. They've got tumors, they're sick. Like, why isn't this on the news? Why don't we know about this? Why are we still
give them some weed?
Yes. And most kids who have gender dysphoria grow out of it. Like 99% of them grow out of it, unless you happen to have an awful parent who thinks, oh, this is a great way for me to get some attention. I'll have a trans kid and a vegan cat.
And show everyone how accepting I am. I mean, I know you know more than me. They say that how many Hollywood stars' children are trans, it's impossible. It's like you've got more chance of winning the lottery 3 Saturdays in a row or something.
My brother would definitely have been trans as a kid because he had proclivities, and they sent him to therapy because he was going to be gay. Now, there's no way on God's earth my mother would have ignored that and not transed him. She would have transed him in a heartbeat, and she'd have loved it, loved every second.
Well, that's an insight to why you probably feel like,
it's pure and simple homophobia. We're transing away the gay. You
can't be gay. You're not a tomboy.
Eugenics. Yeah, eugenics was sterilising lesbians and gay boys, and I think Susie Green from Mermaids, the charity that transes children, is looking into investing surrogacy farms because she realises that she's sterilised a generation of kids.
Are you telling me there's a trans thing called Mermaids?
Mermaids is the charity that helps children trans. Yeah.
What a fucked up Frankenstein mythical creature with half of a fish, and you've gone with that.
Yeah.
That seems satanic to me.
Yeah, well, Susie Green had said it's great because mermaids don't have genitals, so
They've got tits.
Can be a little guy. Yeah, they've got big tits with shells on.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of mermaids.
Yeah.
But yeah, who thinks to trans a gay child? I love when I've had nephews and I've had friends who've got nephews that you know that kid's gay.
Yeah.
That kid is going to be so gay. It's fantastic. They are so fabulous. They're so dramatic. And there are parents that are going, he's a girl. He must be a girl. Oh, what? No, he's just a gay boy. He's just great. Leave him alone.
And
but
I guess
they want him trans.
The gay anthem was always "I am what I am."
Yeah.
Well, the trans anthem is "I ain't what I am. I want to be something else."
If it's like, oh, it's natural, why do we have to chop off their genitals?
Yeah. And what if I don't think it ever works, does it? I don't think they ever they say, oh, if you don't trans, you're going to commit suicide. But then I think post-op, they kill themselves anyway. That's awful.
The suicide rate goes up after surgery because then they've realised that what they've done here
doesn't work
like they were promised it was going to do, and the problem's still there. It's like if I was going to the doctor and say, I think I'm fat, and they said, well, you're not actually, you're a bit underweight, but we'll give you lipo if it makes you feel better. That's what they're doing with trans children. Like, oh, I think I'm a boy. You're not, but do you want us to cut your tits off and give you some drugs? That might make you feel better. It won't ever make you feel better. I
mean, that's the thing, that some people are so extreme. There's no such thing as trans people. It's like you are what you say you are. You're not. So it's sort of like a what do you call it? Like a sort of like oxymoronic term in a way. Because if you really believe that a trans woman is a woman, then they're not trans. So then it doesn't exist. Sort of. Does that make sense?
I personally, I think it's a problem in your brain, and it must be absolutely awful to feel like you don't belong in your body. You haven't been born in the wrong body.
It can't be.
There's
really
something wrong with your brain to make you feel like that. And it would be so much nicer if therapy was given to help you accept your body rather than, right, okay, we'll cut your body to pieces and give you drugs and maybe that'll make you feel better. Why is the therapy not the first thing we're doing?
So I got a content warning from YouTube and had to delete 10 minutes of this chat out. If you want to hear this 10 minutes, go to Spotify and listen to the audio pod. I don't think they're quite as censorious as YouTube. But I got my first strike. Looks like a coming of age. I am going to look into other platforms such as Rumble, because fuck these cunts.
So those who want to follow or watch Gina, she performs as Kelli Taylor, which is KELLII. So easy to find online.
Yeah, KELLII, but the last I's upside down like an exclamation mark.
Oh, is it really?
It's not on Facebook though, because it won't let you.
Well, I'm going to say
there's no point telling the police because they don't.
I have these, and if I don't have those on, it could be any fucking thing. I'll be honest with you. As I've got to the age. So thanks so much. It was a lovely chat. Good luck with all of your medical ailments.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to go to the volcano again and refill my sexy bag.
Yeah, and then get the munchies. What you got for dinner tonight? I don't know why I asked you that. I've turned into my dad all of a sudden.
Oh, what day are we? Wednesday.
Yeah, I've got a gig.
I'm doing chili meatballs.
I'll be doing KFC on the way to the gig or something. So
that's awful. That is poison.
Are you not a KFC dude?
No, well, I'm vegan, so no.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother kettle of gummy worms. No, they've got gelatin. Not even them.
Well, unless it's made with pectin.
Pectin gummy worms. Thank you so much, Gina. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Justin. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.